Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m. UK time, we release an update just like this one to help you stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the cryptocurrency space. We not only do that, but we look further afield at other markets to help us work out where our small but exceptionally significant and to become infinitely more significant market is heading. And as always, we have a jam-packed update for you. We are going to be kicking things off with a clip that I played in my Cardano video yesterday, talking about this technology generally and where it's heading and how previous technological revolutions have taken shape and comparing Bitcoin and actually more broadly crypto to it. I understand that not everyone is a Cardano ADA fan. It's a blockchain that we happen to have a soft spot for. We think it's a blockchain that's very much continuing the kind of breaking down of centralization that Satoshi started. But that was for yesterday's video. The clip I really wanted to play for the people who watch my daily market updates, because it is an important one and it really puts a spin on what's really going on here. And that's something that we try and keep people grounded in. Crypto is a technological revolution, no different from any of the others. And we'll be exploring that to start the video off. Then we're going to look at, of course, the Bitcoin chart. Not a lot is happening. You've seen the dollar be very strong and Bitcoin do literally nothing. Now, is that a sign of strength or is that just a sign of a complete lack of interest? I would say that it's more the latter. A lack of interest. We'll break it down from a charting point of view. We'll look at the dollar. We'll look at some stocks. Then we'll be diving into some news. JP Morgan exploring blockchain-based payments and its settlement systems. This has come from Bloomberg. We know that Wall Street is already here, ladies and gentlemen. They are all working on crypto behind the scenes. They can't come out publicly and say it because of a lack of regulatory clarity due to the absolutely hideous job the SEC is doing. Then we're going to talk about Coinbase ramping up global efforts with forward-looking regulators. They mention a number of countries. We'll look at the top 10 countries for crypto adoption. And then we'll be hearing from Chris Larsen, who, of course, was involved, one of the founders of Ripple, and he's been involved in the SEC lawsuit. He actually goes on to comment on the damage that the SEC is doing, and then we'll wrap some things up with Base and Coinbase news in regards to the tokenized asset coalition. Tokenization is going to grip the entire world, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's get into it. And let's start things off with a clip of Mr. Andrew Durgee testifying in front of Congress about Bitcoin and crypto and the revolution that it is.
We are in the early stages of this technology, and I really want to provide some examples of that. It generally takes about 25 to 30 years for human beings to adopt a new data transfer technology. Radio was invented in 1890, but wasn't commercially available until the 1920s. TV was developed in the 1920s, but wasn't in homes until the 1950s. Email was invented in 1969, but most of you most likely didn't have an email address until 1997. There is one that I really want to focus on, and that's TCP/IP, which is the internet, for those that don't know. It was developed as a DARPA project in 1970, but it wasn't really commercially accepted until 1995 when it was rolled out with Windows 95. There's another important date, which is 1983. 1983 is when TCP/IP was accepted as the standard protocol for internet development, 13 years after it was created. Well, here we are, 13 years after Bitcoin was created, and we're just now starting to talk about standardization. This is not a coincidence. Adoption at this stage is not a technology problem, it's a human conditioning issue. Every 13-year-old in the United States has only existed in a world where Bitcoin has existed. 3 years from now, every 16-year-old will have only existed in a world where Bitcoin has existed. 16 years old is an important date because it's generally when someone becomes interested in becoming a developer. They are the adoption layer. We here in this room, we're the infrastructure layer. It's our responsibility to create an environment where every 13-year-old American has a framework upon which they can build the next world on. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Wasn't that interesting? I really think that captures what's going on here. And it kind of reiterates a lot of what we try and say day in and day out on this channel. And we play the whole of this week clips that are just very cementing in regards to what way this industry is going. And it's very important for us as a channel. It's the whole reason this channel was founded in the first place, to keep people, and many of you don't need to be, motivated in regards to this space during September, which is a very lackluster period, and whilst the Bitcoin price and crypto price is largely doing nothing. It's very interesting because the dollar has been on a rampage. The dollar is the other half of Bitcoin's story. Dollar up, risk typically down. This is now broken out, in my opinion. It's going to take a rest. It's likely going to take a rest here. Does that see some sunshine for crypto? Maybe. We'll see. You know, you are coming into sort of where you might take a rest before then going again. I wouldn't, at this point here with the dollar, I'm not betting against it. Okay, it's shown its hand. Markets give you feedback at every single point. Okay, I mean, even right now for Bitcoin, it's not giving you assertive feedback into direction, but it's giving you feedback that there's a lack of interest. The dollar's been doing this. We'll just throw the Bitcoin chart on here. When it decides to load, crypto has been doing this. It's just been going sideways, which is either a sign of strength or it's a sign of, and we can put that in opposition with the stock market, which is, of course, been going down. It's either a sign of strength or it's a sign of a complete lack of interest. My hunch is it's more of a lack of interest. You know, you've just been range bound. I get sort of September 2021 vibes here. You know, in regards to what you did over here before you went to the upside. We are mid to longer term bulls, right? We've took a position back in the market since the start of the year. People are probably sick of us saying that. And we mitigated pretty much all of the bear market. We got out here. So we missed from 69 really down to about 48. But then we made a decision. Altcoins got significantly smashed during this time period. And altcoins are really lagging or waiting to catch up. And I think that's got a lot to do with regulatory uncertainty and, again, a lack of interest. But I'm getting these kind of vibes. You know, you could be thrashing out a low here for Bitcoin. You can see where the wicks are. And it's a very, very key. So this isn't a short-term bull call. It's not shown us that yet, right? And we've looked at the play in regards to what would be bullish, what would be bearish. You're at such key. We would call this now a confirmed stage 2 breakout. Volume confirmed the breakout. Marginally confirmed the retest, depending on what exchange you're looking at. And now we're waiting for volume to come back, preferably to the upside. If it's going to spill down, it doesn't have to happen on volume. Which is something that we teach. You know, downside spills don't particularly have to happen on volume. Upside runs, you want to see it because it's conviction behind the move. But you're at this support, and we don't go short until you lose that support. And people are getting, I mean, the real heroes here are the day traders, right? Or the scalpers, whatever that means in Bitcoin and crypto. I mean, I'd love to see what those guys' lives actually entails in regards to not what's portrayed on Twitter, but what you know. Anyway, so you could be thrashing out a bit of a low here. I wouldn't bet on this short-term downside, but at the same time, we've seen that the kind of rallies that we've had, they've been very impulsive, but they've often been retraced to the same orders of magnitude. So this is a kind of nothing, no point of control here for what way I think this is going. So short-term, just like here, we said it could go up, it could go down, which isn't very helpful on the short term, but sometimes I have to throw my hands out. We did know an explosive move was coming. It'd be interesting to see what volatility looks like here. Yeah. You're even lower in volatility. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Wow. So there you have it. The question to the answer. And low volatility can be very bullish. I'm just looking at this for the first time with you guys, so I don't really know 100% what to take from that. I wouldn't bet on downside here. Everyone calling for 12K, whatever the hell. They've been calling for it the whole way here. They've got their faces ripped off by the bull, which we think this is, and so on and so forth. So let's just stick to the plan, see what happens. Are you going to get that deeper C wave? Are you going to put in that B into the C, form a head and shoulders? We'll see. I wouldn't bet on downside here, guys. But that's just my own take. Let's move on to a little bit of news. After sort of extending technical analysis. JP Morgan exploring blockchain-based payments and settlement systems. We know that Wall Street is here. This is a thing. They're all going to have them. It's one of the arguments that I put forward to why actually public blockchains will get used, because there's a lot of, if you think about banks, right? It's only a small amount that will be able to facilitate their own blockchains. The majority won't be able to facilitate that, and they won't use their competitors' blockchains. They'll use the public ones that could potentially be more efficient. Coinbase is ramping up global efforts with forward-looking regulators. The crypto exchange labels Europe, Canada, Brazil, Singapore, and Australia as near-term priority markets. That's because they're regulatory friendly. The SEC is a shit show. I mean, you just can't make this up. And you'd think Gary Gensler would know a lot better than he does, having taught it at MIT, one of the most prestigious technical universities that there is. Top 10 countries. Shout out to this individual who is CEO at Nansed A. Svenvik. Probably definitely not saying that right. Looking at the top 10 crypto countries for adoption: Singapore, Switzerland, UAE, Hong Kong, USA, Australia, UK, Canada, Malta, and Malaysia. There's no America in there, unfortunately. Let's quickly move on to a clip of Chris Larson talking about the state of regulatory framework. And then I'm going to love and leave you with a little bit of Coinbase tokenization news, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah. Is that something you recognize?
Well, that's really unfortunate, because I think, unfortunately, this administration made a really bad call.
At the city level or at the federal level?
At the federal level. They pretty much killed San Francisco from being what it was, the blockchain capital of the world. We owned it, and we don't anymore because the Biden administration, for whatever reason, decided they want to push this industry offshore. And so it's London, Singapore, Dubai that really are the global capitals of blockchain. That's unfortunate. Maybe our vacancy rate would be half of what it is here in San Francisco. It's 30%. It might have been 15% if we still were the global blockchain capital of the world. So that was a missed opportunity. It's really unfortunate. It hurt the city. Bring up a great point. You saw in the latest challenge on the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. Again, SEC lost. But not only that, the judge really admonished the SEC. Really called them out in a way that you don't really see very often. I think it's just more proof that Gary Gensler's decision of sort of engaging this regulation by enforcement, rather than getting clear laws, he knows they're not clear. He just likes that lack of clarity so that he can go after anybody and make up the rules as he goes along through bullying. And that's not the American way. This should be at Congress. We should have clear rules from the legislatures, not through these sort of unelected, power-hungry, and really
It does actually wind me up the way the SEC is going around things, going about things, because it is un-American, quite frankly. It's unfair, and we live in an unfair world, guys. Anybody that's looking for fairness in this world, I'm afraid you are not going to find it unless it's artificially manufactured by the likes of governments and this kind of ideology that life is fair when it's not. And that always leads to chaos. You're going against the laws of nature, I'm afraid, there. So last little bit I want to touch on is Base has joined the Tokenized Asset Collaboration or Coalition, TAC. The industry leaders include Coinbase, Aave, Centrifuge, Circle, and RWA. I'm not familiar with those guys, actually. They seem to do with... Not sure. Tokenization is going to be everywhere. Everything's going to be tokenized, guys. Unfortunately, there's going to be negatives to that in regards to taxation and things like that, and property tax and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, on that note, we're going to love and leave you. Hopefully, you all have a fantastic Friday, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.